But the message was clear. To make it to the top, you must be ready to sacrifice a lot. And I believed that for the longest time. And that is no longer the case. That's false. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let's talk about change and why we are so resistant to it, even when we know that it has the capacity to transform every single area of our life for the better. The sun is setting. This wasn't planned. And if you see some weird light in the background, it's just like I'm filming this off the cuff. And I just felt compelled to share the deeper reason why I left my legal career in the private practice sector and started talking about career shifts to anyone who would listen. Because ultimately for me, it wasn't just about transitioning into tech. It wasn't because I was done with big law and I had all these grand ideas about becoming my own boss. Never that. In fact, I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur, and it's still not the main thing that I do. I had seen my mom graft and grind at entrepreneurship for years, and I just figured my dad had a better idea. I was like, I'm just going to follow his lead, work in banking, land a good job with a good company, put my head down, graft, get paid, and just enjoy my retirement when it came to it. And it also wasn't because I was burnt out. I mean, I was definitely, and I've talked about that many times. But even when I was at the peak of my burnout, there was always something else simmering underneath. And it wasn't really that I didn't like being a banking lawyer. In fact, I loved it most of the time. I really did. I really enjoyed the satisfaction of solving really difficult problems through contracts and things like that. And it was great to use my brain, you know. I was proud of not just being a pretty girl, you know. I loved being part of a team. I loved having first-class clients and working on deals that ended up on the front page. But again, there was always something that niggled, you know. I felt like there had to be more and that I could do more. I could be different, not better, but different. It got to a point where it felt like work was consuming my life instead of complementing my life. When you've also spent every single moment of your life being told to pursue a dream, study hard for exams, do your internships, network, secure the job, get the accolades, get the promotion. It's very disturbing to get there and then ask yourself, is this it? I was slammed all the time and I didn't have time for my personal life. I put on a ton of weight and I found myself falling out of love with the work that I really used to enjoy. But even though I knew in my heart of hearts that it was time for a change, it was so hard to leave. If you've ever felt like this, please let me know, comment below. It's also important to highlight that every year in law, your salary goes up based on how long you've been there. It's called lockstep compensation, and it wasn't like I came from like some really rich family where people could support me with buying a house and doing this and the other. I mean, I had real world responsibilities. The other thing, which is a big thing that people don't really talk about, is that leaving such a big prestigious career felt like admitting failure. And if you identify as a high achiever, if you've been groomed to always be ambitious and stuff, you really know what I mean, because people talk. Even though you don't want the lives of the senior people, they still talk, and you don't want people to think that you couldn't achieve something. So I stayed, but I kept telling myself, I will keep saving, I'm gonna keep researching until I find the perfect next move, and then next year I'm going to quit. Somehow though, next year never came. It's kind of like when you plan to go on a diet on Monday and Monday never comes, and then many years on you realize that nothing has changed. It was exactly the same for me, and it actually took getting to the point of overwhelm and some other factors beyond the scope of this video for me to actually then say it is time. I left private practice, and now 3 years after that, I can look back and then really say, I mean, I'm looking out into the sunset and a beautiful view right now, and I'm saying like, my biggest regret is that I didn't make the leap sooner. And the question I have is like, why do we never trust ourselves, especially when we've proven time and time again that we are competent? Why do we let fear keep us stuck instead of being bold and going for what we truly want? So right now, like, my thing is to really show other self-proclaimed or labeled high achievers that you can be really successful without sacrificing your own personal happiness and all the other things that makes you feel fulfilled. This is a really important message, especially for immigrant kids like me, because we were taught that grinding equals success, but it doesn't always translate to that. It wasn't the case for my family. I don't really want to go into that, and it's never been even more evident than in this market. And it really hones in the fact that you have to be your own career CEO and believe in yourself all the time, because you've done the work, you've studied, you have the experience, you can get the experience, and now you have to choose how you want to live your life. It's really important never to stay in a place just because you've done that same thing for so long and that's all that you know. Why don't you trust yourself to be bold and really trust the skills and your innate ability to do better? You really can be successful, you can be wealthy, and you can be happy doing work that excites you, whether in the same industry or elsewhere, or even becoming an entrepreneur. So for me, the deeper reason I left private practice and I finally embraced change is that I really needed to prove to myself that I could have a thriving career and enjoy my life at the same time, because it felt like I had to give up one to get the other. And this is something that I know that many people feel like, and we don't really talk about it that much. Yes, success is important, but what about the other things like love, family, friends, you know? I really want to show that it's possible to have all of the things and choose what to sacrifice from time to time, because life is not a fairy tale. Anyone telling you that life is perfect is a liar. And I think this narrative is really something that we need to talk about more, because this idea that you can really have control over your life was not something that I was told growing up or something that I saw in big law. The subliminal message was that you had to choose between getting to the top, becoming a partner in a law firm in my case, and having a life. So one or the other. In fact, I even had a partner that I admired and I really still respect him to this day. He said to me once when I was a trainee, still a baby, something along the lines of, "You are incredibly bright and I can definitely see you on the partner track, but I have a weird question," and I will never forget this because we were on the tram home back to the office from a client meeting. And then he said, "Have you ever thought about having a house husband?" Me, a Nigerian girl, I was like, huh? And then he saw my look and then he said, "Look around, there aren't that many female partners here, and if there are, most of them are either single or they have house husbands who look after their kids." And let's be real, there's absolutely nothing wrong with either of those scenarios. You can be single, you can have a family, do whatever you want. But the message was clear. To make it to the top, you must be ready to sacrifice a lot. And I believed that for the longest time, and that is no longer the case. That's false. Let's just call a spade a spade. But even when I realized that, and I knew that traditional lawyering was not for me, I still couldn't shake this belief that I'd gotten to the top and I couldn't let it go, and it would be hard for me to get a high-level job somewhere else, and that doing something new or stepping out of law would be career suicide. So chucked up. I was like, okay. I'm gonna accept the long hours and the stress, and I was just like, that's what I signed up for. And that is still my biggest regret, especially when my clients that I work with now, they take 4 months to do their career transition and they're like, "Thanks, Dels." And I'm looking at them like, this thing took me 4 years, but okay, the process works, right? And now it's just like, I can see that fear held me back for the longest time. But once I learned the strategies to make like successful career shifts by leveraging your experience, it took me less than 6 months for my whole life to change. And I feel like, again, looking out, I'm just like, I'm happy that I'm not behind a desk taking a nap in the office, and I can really enjoy my day. I'm about to go out to dinner and all of those things. So if you don't know my story, let me summarize it for you. I basically, after my career transition, I fell in love for the first time. I lost over 10 kilograms. I pivoted to tech. I developed an app, and you can learn about all of that in one of the videos that I'll link either here or in the description box. But ultimately, where I am right now is that I can say I am well and truly happy. My life is not a fairy tale. I will repeat that. By any means, it's far from it. I still haven't won the lottery yet, but I am well paid. I feel fulfilled with my work, and I'm still on that track to the top, but not at the expense of everything that makes me happy outside of work. In fact, my boundaries have never been firmer. And my biggest joy is getting feedback from people that I've helped them to do the same and that they're happy, whether they've achieved that by working with me or just watching my videos on YouTube. It is so fulfilling. And I'm not sure what your situation today is, but I want to ask you one question. Does your work complement the life that you want to have? Just think about it for a second. Let's give it a moment. Then comment below. Consider your goals, the things you love doing, the people that you love, the things that you like doing outside of work. Is your job complementing or facilitating that life? If it is not, then you really need to think strongly about making a change ASAP. Your job doesn't have to be your passion, but at the very least, you ought to enjoy it, and it needs to be fueling your dreams. Very important. We have a speaker from Google who's going to be talking about this at the Career Transformation Weekend, and he is so inspiring. He used to be a lawyer. I think he also had a medicine background as well, and then he pivoted to tech, and now he is killing it. But while he loves his job, he's like a PR executive at Google, his core passion is writing, and he's a published author. And I think it's great that his job at Google really complements that, and that's what you want, you know, because you want your job to boost you, boost your life, whether it's your pockets, whether it's your lifestyle, in every single way. And at Google, what I love is that they really respect and encourage him to also show up in all his forms. He doesn't have to hide that he's an author on the side. Do you know what I mean? So he is living proof that it's possible for you to have a successful career and even become a leader while still maintaining all other aspects of your life that are important to you. Honestly, I can't talk about how much you deserve that. You really deserve a job that makes you happy and fuels your dreams. And I'm here to tell you that it is possible. Don't let anyone really get into your head and tell you that you're at your max, you are in a great job or a job that pays well and you're like, hey, I can never get any better. You can. It is absolutely possible, but it does require a change to your mindset and the way that you approach work. And also importantly, you taking an informed look at your life and saying what is the most important. In my experience, it's really necessary also to be proactive and take control of your career narrative in order for you to achieve that well-balanced life that you want. Honestly, if you feel like your work is not complementing the life that you want to have, I encourage you to take action and make a change. Think about it. It's possible for you to have it all, but you have to be willing to fight for it. You've done all the work already, and you're also talented. You can learn, you can upskill, you can be resourceful. And all this to say, I am here for you. There's going to be lots more content on this channel about how you can thrive in your career and your personal life. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. And I would love to invite you to join us at the Career Transformation Weekend and get your life together. You will learn everything that you need to know about making a successful career shift in just one weekend, if that's something that you want to do. So I'm going to put the links below so that you can register. I'm sorry if this video has been a rush. It's because, like I told you, I was inspired to talk about it and I've got dinner now, so I'm out. Deuces!